In this demo, I'm going to walk you through how Provar can test ServiceNow application. I've divided this demo into two parts. The first part will focus on UI testing, showing how Provar interacts directly with the ServiceNow interface. And the second part will focus on API testing, where Provar makes the REST API call to ServiceNow and fetch the information about the record. So to start with, I've already created a ServiceNow UI connection, and I've used the same connection inside my test case. Along with that, I'm also using a reusable test, which is to log in inside the Salesforce application. So let me launch the test builder session. When I click on test builder, it launches the test builder panel on the right side and also open the real-time browser on the left side. Test builder is used to help us create and build test steps directly into the test case from the UI application. So now UI connection step is executing. That will take me to the login screen of ServiceNow application and then will log me inside the ServiceNow application. So as the execution finishes for the steps, I am on the incident screen, and to create the incident, I need to click on new button first. So for the demo purpose, I'm using incident management flow. So I'm going to right click on new button and add it to my test case. So as soon as I do a right click, I see some additional menu option from the ServiceNow. So I cannot use right click directly on the new button. So I have a shortcut that I can use here, which is Option A on Mac and Alt A on Windows. So I'm going to use that shortcut. And as soon as I do that, I can see some additional information on the test builder, which talks about the button is inside the frame. It is a type of button and the element is new. And I want to click on this. So I just hit add and do after reviewing the information. And this will click on the new button. So as soon as I clicked on new, I'm taken on this form screen, which is nothing but a new record screen for incident. There are different kind of field on the screen. I can see number field, a reference field, date field, some drop-down menu, and text fields. So I'll try to interact with different kind of field as a part of this demo. So let's start with the reference field. So I'm gonna do right click, add to test, to add my test steps into the test case. And just to review the information, it says this field is also inside the frame. It is of type text, and the label of the field is caller, and some locator for that field. It is entering this value inside the field. So let me remove this value from the screen so that I can see it happening in real time. And let me create it as a new page. So it is incident, and enter some value and a tab off so that it takes that value as input, and hit add and do. So you can see it is able to add the value on the screen, system administrator, and remove the focus from there so that it sets the value correctly. Now let's try the same with date field. So I'm going to enter some value in the field and do right click add to test. So that's how you add any field or any step in your test. Just do a right click and add test in Provar, and it gives you some information on the screen that you can review. And for the demo purpose, I'm going to change this value to some other value so that I can see it in action, and just hit add and do. So now it should be able to set the value, and yes, it is able to set the value on the date field as well. Now let's try with the pick list or a drop down field for urgency. Do a right click, add to test, review the information on the screen. I'm happy with the information, and to see it in action, I'm going to change the value to medium and hit add and do. So it is able to change the value for pick list as well. Category is inquiry, state is new. I'm not going to touch these. Let's fill this mandatory field as well and click on submit after that. So mapping this field, it is saying short description as a label. Yes, it is able to recognize that. Pick the locator, and I'm going to give some dummy value on this field and hit add and do. It should be able to perform this action on the screen. It is able to set the value on this field as well. Now it has given me some suggestion, but I'm going to hit the submit button after this. So to do that, I can see I have two submit buttons at the bottom and at the top as well. So let me try with the bottom one. However, when I do a right click, I see some additional option again. So I'm going to use keyboard shortcut and review the information on the screen. And one thing you notice that Provar knows there are duplicate fields available with the same label. So it is able to recognize that I am interacting with the button at the bottom and give me a appropriate locator for that. And I'm choosing an interaction type as click this time. So just hit add and do, and it should be able to submit this form, means able to create the incident. So you can see it is able to create the incident here on the top. And that's how you interact with ServiceNow via UI. You can build incident, purchase order, or any other record via UI. Just have to do right click, add to test case, and Provar will handle all the complexities. So this is about UI. Now let's go back to and see how Provar interacts with the API. And to do that, I already have a test here, which is connecting to ServiceNow application via API. So I'm using a REST connection, which is nothing but defining the endpoint, providing basic authentication information, a basic auth connection, and then using the same connection in my test. I'm using an incident as a variable. So this time my incident number is 22. So I'm going to use 22 as a variable. And then I'm making a REST call to ServiceNow to fetch the information about this incident. So I've parameterized this incident number, and you can create your UI API test in a single test, parameterize the incident number. So you can dynamically pick the recently created incident as well. So I'm passing this as a variable in my REST request, and out of the response, I'm validating the category. So all the response will be stored inside the REST response, and here I'm going to validate one of the value from the response. So let's run this API step, and API step will always be faster. So you will see it will execute in few seconds. So it is completed now. It is able to make the connection to ServiceNow application, able to make the REST API call as well, and able to get all the values from the REST call. So you can see all the parameters are stored inside this variable. And out of this variable, I'm validating this category in the next step. Assert shows successful because my expected value was inquiry. So it is able to get the value from REST API response and validate it against my expected value. So that's how you can interact with ServiceNow application via API as well. So in this demo, we saw how Provar can interact with ServiceNow application using both UI and API. This enables you to build complete end-to-end test automation seamlessly within ServiceNow application, in which you can combine UI, API, or any external system as well.